Another live Q&A. It is Monday night. It is 4 p.m. here, local time. We're going to do this for the next hour. We're going to answer all of your questions, well, at least as many as we can. This is always a bit of a sprint over the next hour, just trying to make sure that we help educate the community. That's what it's all about. I'm pretty excited. I see a bunch of names as always in here. Some people that keep coming back. I don't know why. Thorol's Inspired's here. Recovery One Drone. Texas Reaper. Ed Rutledge is here. Dave Bear. Maryland Drone Guy. We have Dave Bear, who couldn't remember my name. Yes, I'm going to put you on the spot. He blamed autocorrect, but it's not like we've been talking for the last 4 years. Extreme Aerial Production, Mark. Mark has a question. We'll get to that in a second. New Wave Aerial, Yellow Rose Drone. We have Vic Moss. Welcome back. DYP, Carl F12. Birmingham Flag Store, El Caba. James M. We have a lot of people. That's awesome. Welcome on board, guys and girls. Lauren is here. DE, as always. Frank Walker, JK Fuerte, Independent Drone Channel. Lots of people. All right. Well, thanks for being here. It's been, Dave says, I blame voice over text. I know your name, Craig. Yes, he called me Craig. Many people call me Craig. Sometimes I get Craig, C-R-E-G. That's a good one. I get Greg with 2 Gs. Well, with 3 Gs. I have only 2 Gs, one at the beginning, one at the end. Anyways, it's been busy. It's been a busy day. We're trying to finish an airplane course. Actually, my neck right now is killing me because I've been on the computer all afternoon. We're trying to finish a course we could try and finish 2 courses for Black Friday for this coming Friday. And it's been a bit of a rush. So I'm kind of excited to take a break to talk to you guys. But if you don't know, it is Black Friday week. We started our Black Friday sale on Friday. So if you want courses, this is the best time. And I know this sounds like very salesy, but this is the cheapest. The course is going to be this year guaranteed, and next year until the next Black Friday. We don't do a sale like this until the next Black Friday. So the course right now for Part 107 is $107 instead of the regular $159. That still comes with the maneuvers course. We have the the Part 107 plus the drone business, which I think is $149. So that's also a heck of a deal. Usually $199. We just go on the website, you'll see all the deals. We have the mapping course is $199, so it's $100 off on the mapping course. We have the actually I should probably on the website because I don't remember all of them by heart. But you can also get the drone and photo masterclass. That's $59 instead of $149. We have the real estate photo, which is also $59 instead of $149. So those are a great deal. We have a new course, which we just released last week, which is our Part 107 waiver course. That one is on sale as an introduction for $49, but that's going to go back to $149 when we're done. That is 4 hours of me and Jason talking about how to submit your waivers, giving you a ton of tips on how to do it, giving you examples, there's 23 documents that you can download in here, including the worksheets that we rework from the FA, adding more information, adding more questions to help you answer these questions. We created an interactive form where you can answer questions to figure out exactly what waiver you would need for a specific operation. There's step-by-step instructions on how to submit your waiver and how to receive your waiver, what you would do when you get your waiver. There's a ton of information in there. And I apologize, I said 4 hours, it's 2.5 hours. It felt like I was talking for 4 hours, but Jason walks you through how to actually submit it on the website. Jason has been submitting all of our waivers, so he's extremely knowledgeable about this whole process. And we also at the same time released our consulting offer. So we are helping people to submit their own waivers if they want to. That's an additional fee. It's not part of the course in itself. It's not required for you to do that. We also give you all the tips to do it on your own. But if you feel like this is too much for you, we're here to help as well if need be. So Like I said, this one is $49 right now. And that I tell you, for the price, that's one heck of a deal. We have our Drone Flying 101, a visual observer course. All of these are all available on the website right now. So please go out there, enjoy. It's going to be live for another week on the website at these prices, and then after that, it goes back to the regular pricing. So pretty exciting stuff. What else? What else should I say? We have, well, we'll get to that at the end. We had a funny a promo video that we're doing on the airplane side, not on the drone side, but on the airplane side. We're doing a buy one give one. It's called a BOGO promo. So you buy the course and you can give it to somebody else. Like I said, only on the airplane side for the ground school, not on the drone side. But Ben made a funny little promo for it, and we'll show you some footage at the end. It's the BOGO YOLO No FOMO Poco Loco promo, bro. And you'll see we had fun filming that. And if you haven't watched the end of the last news update, I will show you that little clip at the end of this video. I wanted to talk about, I haven't seen all the comments yet, and I see you guys are leaving comments already, but I wanted to talk about this thing that happened over the weekend, or on Friday, I think the day that we posted news updates, with this guy that flew over yet another sporting event. And a lot of people send me the link, like they always do every week when something happens. It's the typical "don't be that guy" segment of somebody doing something stupid. What turns out is happening every single time is that these people are just not aware of the rules, which it can be, if you think about it, a stupid defense, right? But really, it's a legitimate issue with the fact that people are not educated on the rules for flying their drones. And so over the years, I've been pushing pretty hard for manufacturers to include information in the boxes of their drones to tell people about the rules. And I had several people email me this week asking, can we have the FAA come up with this document that manufacturers would have to actually put in the box? And guess what? That document already exists, and it's actually already mandated. I think Jason is in the back doing comments. He's gonna help me put a link in there if he can find it. But there's this document that the FAA came up with. It's got all the basic rules that you need to know before flying your drone. And if we had a copy of this, as it's required by the FAA in every box, then we would probably be able to avoid some of the issues that we have right now with people flying over these sporting events. The other issue that comes up with this, and I'm mentioning this for a reason, is the fact that the TFR, the stadium TFR, is not easy to find. This is a discussion we've had with the FAA for quite a while now, discussing the fact that this TFR, this stadium TFR, as it's called, is issued by a NOTAM. And if you don't know what a NOTAM is, it's a notice to air mission. And there's only one NOTAM that issues the TFR for all the events, the 100 and some events that happen every year that qualify for this temporary flight restriction, this TFR. And it's extremely difficult to find it. And I was having a discussion the other day. We have a meeting with the DAC, the Drone Advisory Council. VIG is actually part of the DAC, as well as a few other people in the industry. And one of our tasks right now is to talk with the FAA to try to bring sense and explain why the current TFR, the way that it's designed, is going to lead to people flying over stadium, because it's almost impossible to find information about when that TFR is active. I'll give you an example. I myself don't watch sports. I don't watch NFL. I don't watch baseball. I don't watch all the games that would be covered, NASCAR, that would be covered by that TFR. I don't know where these stadiums are located, like many other people. I don't know on what day these teams are playing. And because there is really no good resource online to find when these games are happening, it is entirely possible that I myself could be busting that TFR by flying 3 miles away, 2 miles away from that stadium without ever knowing that something was happening. So there's something wrong when this is my job. I do this every day. I educate people, and I possibly could bust that TFR by mistake because I just couldn't find information about it. So think about that for a second. So we need a better way to display these TFRs and to share that information with everyone. So that's what our group is being tasked with right now, and that's what we're going to be doing and trying to bring recommendations to the FAA to hopefully make changes to this TFR. So I'll get off my soapbox at the moment talking about this, but yes, people are busting TFRs. I don't know that I can blame them, and maybe they were doing it on purpose. I don't know, but it's also entirely possible that they did it because they just didn't know the rules. So I always like to give the benefit of the doubt, but it is what it is. And I do watch sport. I just don't watch certain sports. I don't watch baseball. I don't watch football, and I don't watch NASCAR. So I do watch Formula One, and then I do watch other sports. Ben, don't look at me like that with those judgy eyes. I don't watch Taylor Swift either, but she's not covered by TFR. So even if I did, I know Ethan watches Taylor Swift, so he would tell me. Oh, Miley Cyrus. I'm sorry, Miley Cyrus. Yep. A VIP TFR. Actually, since Vic is talking, and I'll get to the questions in a minute. Vic mentions the VIP TFR. VIP, very important people. TFR, temporary flight restriction. I just had a student email me a couple like last week, and he said, hey, listen, I was in San Francisco, and he said we were a group of several people that were flying, and we got a visit from Secret Service. And he said we were actually flying in a TFR, and he said my fault for not checking the TFR before we flew. He said this is an area where we fly all the time legally, except this time it was actually covered by a TFR. And so he didn't say much more, but he said that Secret Service showed up. And he said within minutes of us flying, he said Secret Service showed up. He said they knew our name, they knew our aircraft, they knew where we took off from, everything we had done to date until they arrived. And he said by the time they arrived, they knew all that stuff already. He said they were very polite. They talked to us. They asked us for a credential or information. He said I had my Part 107. I had all my documentation. I knew the rules except for the TFR, I guess. And then he said that there was somebody with them that didn't have any of that and didn't have their trust certificate done with them. And he emailed me again today to follow up, and he said they got a call from the FAA, and the FAA told them that if they didn't get the trust done within a week, they would get a $33,000 fine. So he said the name of the email, the title of the email was Secret Service has remote ID. That's what the title said. And sure enough, they have access to the information, which is no secret. They probably don't have access through it via actual remote ID. My guess is they were flying DJI drones and somebody had the equipment to catch that information. But $33,000 for not having trust. Now, they didn't get fined. The FAA doesn't do that. The FAA will educate first and give you a chance to correct. So in this case, all they have to do is get the trust certificate for free and then correct it and get out of trouble. But yeah, that's a steep fine. So anyways, all right. Whew. With that said, remote ID, Black Friday, we talked about the TFR, the guy busting the airspace. Let's get to the question. I know you have a lot of questions going in here. Extreme Aerial, Mark, our friend Mark from Phoenix, is saying, is Greg's accent real? No, it is not real. It is all fake.
Do an American accent.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Are you?
The American accent, yeah. Sometimes I try to do a fake French accent, like really strong French accent, but it's very difficult.
Let's hear it.
Well, I can't. Like I have to talk to a French person and then I can imitate what they're saying. But
Oh, you have to talk to a French.
I have to talk to a French person. Yes. So yes, it is all fake. It's all for selling courses. That's the reason I have it. All right. DJI versus Autel thermal drones. Opinion on which one is better? That's a tough one. Autel makes a great thermal drone with the Mavic, not the Mavic, the Autel Evo 2 thermal. And we have one. Jason has one personally and really likes it. I don't know that there's much of a difference as far as the image quality coming out of the thermal camera. Obviously, the Mavic 3 thermal has a bit more options, but I will say that we played with the Autel Evo Max, and the user interface on the Evo Max was awesome. I actually liked it better than the one on the on the Matrice 30, or even on the 3 thermal. We have a 3 thermal in the office that we use, but it's actually a tough one. If you can find a good deal on the thermal drones from Autel, I would definitely recommend it. How do you convince others that the Part 107 license isn't just for if use the drone commercially? I feel the manufacturers are misleading the public for sales, i.e. exo drones. Well, Part 107 is not necessarily for commercial purposes. You're right. A lot of people say it is for flying for commercial reason, but that's not the only thing. So I started saying it's for non-recreational purposes. Why? Because, well, Part 107 governs all flying except recreational rules. So if you're non-recreational, then you fall under Part 107. I don't know how else you convince people, quite frankly. What I tell people, if they don't believe what I said, well, just email uashelp@fa.gov, ask your question, and they'll give you the answer. Very responsive, extremely knowledgeable people at the UAS help desk. So if you have any questions anytime, email them. Seriously, they'll get back to you within usually a day. I know they shake their head, I'm sure, every time I send them an email, but they're extremely, extremely responsive. So kudos to all the folks up there working in that office. Last week, there was another drone incident. I mentioned that one. Any update on the plan to tackle the issue with drone flight during pro events? Like I said, I'm gonna get back on my soapbox. I think there's several things we can do. A better TFR notification for these events, better definition, quite frankly, of these events. I don't know that we need to have a TFR for all these events. And then also better information in the box from drone manufacturers. The FAA mandates it. It's not being enforced, and I wish that it was. I've been fighting with this. I actually approached a large drone manufacturer, which was not DJI, several years ago to help them put that information in the box. I was going to pay for it, and they turned me down. They said, what's in it for us? That was their answer. And so there's little incentive right now for manufacturers to put that little pamphlet in the box. Someone says the drone incidents at the F1 race in Vegas shows how drones can be tracked. Of course. Yep. Especially at Las Vegas. Vic will tell you, 2 of the most protected airspace in the country is Las Vegas and DC. And if you fly your drone in Vegas without approval, they will be on you within minutes. We have one of our students that flies frequently over there, and he's learned to work with them. He's making himself visible, and when they come over, he has a discussion. They know who he is now. But yeah, absolutely. If you're going to fly in Vegas, you better have the right approval. They will be on you very quickly. Tom Powers says, what is the best available drone flying simulator for desktop or laptop? Oh boy, I get that question all the time, and I never have a good answer, quite frankly. We have an article. I think Jason might be able to link to the article in the comments regarding the best drone simulator, but there's quite a few of them. We did write an article. It depends on what you want to do, quite frankly. There is like flying FPV simulators. There is like flying using using more like a DJI simulator if you want, like a multi-rotor type. But yeah, that's somebody just, I think, put a link. Yep, there you go. Jason just put a link down in the, it says in 2020, but that hasn't really changed all that much. And I know we updated it recently and added something in here. But yeah, take a look at that article. That'll give you some good information. New Wave Aerial says, what is, in your opinion, the best budget-friendly software for 3D modeling? How much is it? And just for reference, I intend to produce models and buildings with a 3D printer. Is Jared in the chat? I don't think I've seen Jared. Jared would be the best person to answer that question. I don't see him in here. No, I don't see him in here. As far as software, so I'll tell you what Jared would say as far as the pricing of software for mapping, for 3D modeling. Well, actually, I'll take that back. 3D modeling. Okay, different story. So if you're going to do 3D printing, I'll take that back. I thought you were saying mapping. Personally, for 3D modeling, Jason might have a better recommendation. He does a lot of the CADing for us, but AutoCAD is really good, but it's not free. Personally, I use SketchUp from Google. I do all my personal modeling on there. I've done house renovation stuff. I've built like an entire shed using SketchUp. It's pretty easy to use. I think they have a free version still, and you can do a lot of stuff and convert it to something else. AutoCAD is kind of like the king of CADing. I know it's not necessarily free. I don't think it's cheap either, but it's definitely one of the most regarded software. Any other suggestions?
I use OnShape. It's browser based.
OnShape.
It's free.
Okay. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. You don't
Okay.
need any computing power to run it either.
There you go. So OnShape, Ethan says, there are definitely options. It's all a matter of what you get used to. I like I said, I love using SketchUp just because to me it's very easy to use. I just did something in my house. I'm redoing my garage in my house, and I'm building the whole garage in CAD, and then I'm just gonna build it that way. So I can get super precise, pre-cut my pieces of wood and everything, and just do it all in CAD. So if you're gonna do 3D printing, it's gonna be the same thing. But we use AutoCAD here in the office for 3D printing. I hope Blender. Yeah, Blender. Yeah, that's true. Blender will export as well. Blender is free, so Blender is a good option. We use Blender for our 3D animations, but yeah, it's also an option. Susan says, if you see someone that you know is breaking the law with a drone, how do you report it? That's a tough one. I usually don't report people necessarily per se, but what I will do is I will kind of go talk to them. I'm an FA drone pro, so I usually approach them and then just have a friendly discussion. I don't accuse. I don't like accusing. I have a quick discussion with them about, hey, how did you get approval to fly here? I've been trying to fly here for a while because I know it needs approval. And quite frankly, I only engage if I notice that they're doing something that can be dumb or dangerous. But I had somebody at a local race here in Prescott one time that was flying. And I just approached the guy and I said, hey, how did you get approval to fly in here over people? And he was obviously clueless. And I just said, hey, just so you know, to do this, you need to do this and this and this. And then you see quickly whether or not they want to get unsolicited advice from somebody else. And I just leave it at that. If it's something that's egregious, then maybe I'll take photos and videos. But in most cases, people realize pretty quickly that they're doing something wrong and then they stop. But if you needed to report someone, you do it to the local FSDO, your Flight Standard District Office. There's a page on the FAA website where you can go and do that. It's difficult to judge if they're breaking the law or not because you don't always have all the information available. So I would be cautious with this. And then the FAA is going to need proof as well that the person that did that was in control of the aircraft. So you'd need photographs or videos, putting them at the control on that specific day at that specific time so they can do their investigation. Yep. Helams say, to keep Karens happy, I pretty much can't point my camera down in my neighborhood. If I keep camera level or oblique, I can be sure I'm not flying over people. Best advice, not to worry about it. I would fly the way that you would fly, and I would just climb up a little bit higher so that if you're flying over a neighborhood, I would just fly higher up and try not to hover over somebody's house or somebody's property. I know it's legal. I know you can do it. Should you? Probably not. I know I don't like it when I see drones flying in my neighborhood. I think I mentioned that before. I was working on building a building in my backyard, and I had a drone just hovering, clearly looking at what I was doing. Probably heard that there was noise going on, and they flew over my area just to see what I was doing. So it's not a good feeling, quite frankly. So I wouldn't want to do that to other people. Just fly to where you need to go, and then if you need to have the camera down, you have the camera down. I don't think people can see where the camera is oriented if you're flying at 300 or 400 feet or 200 feet. That would be my recommendation. Be respectful for sure. Aren't NOTAMs always published for sport events, at least major ones? No, they're not. Here's the kick, is that there's, like I said earlier, there's only one NOTAM that issues all TFRs for these sporting events. So it's only if they qualify, but there's not going to be an individual TFR that's going to be issued every single time. It's one big NOTAM that issues the TFR. That's what makes it difficult to track. If there's a VIP TFR, if the president is traveling or the vice president is traveling, then that TFR is going to be issued every single time. So it's easy to keep track of it. The stadium VFRs, they're not. There would have to be hundreds of TFRs issued every year. And I think the people in charge of the TFRs just don't want to go through the trouble of issuing one every single time for these events. And so, yeah, that's interesting. David says, does the new fact sheet open the door for states now making rules regarding altitude? Page 7, bullet 4. Oh, man, I don't know what page 7, bullet 4 is. David, if you can help me here. Actually, UAS fact sheet. Let me see if I can find it real quick. 2023 updated right here. I think I know what you're talking about. Page 7, bullet 4. US registration requirement. That's not it. Sorry, David, I'm not sure which one you're talking about. If you can just tell me, copy paste the actual language, that will help me to answer your question. The new fact sheet is good, except for one part where they mention that, and I think that may be what you're talking about, David. They mention that municipalities can control airspace over schools and other things, and I think that's what you're talking about. I would need to read the actual language in here. Okay, next question: how often do drone motors fail? Not very often, quite frankly. If you're using not poor quality, let's put it this way, not poor quality motors, they really shouldn't fail. Usually, from experience, what has failed for us is the ESC, and that's from drones that we have built ourselves. But drone motors, I think we've yet to have a drone motor failure. Maybe on Octo once, Don would be able to say, but I think the last failure that we had was an ESC, and before that was also an ESC. And other than that, on DJI drones, we never had any ESC or motor failures on the consumer drones, even on the Autel and all the other drones that we've owned. So pretty rare, I think, if you take care of them correctly. How do I get hired as a brand new commercial drone pilot after receiving my certificate? What's a good source to find real employment? Eric, it depends on what you're looking to do. The drone industry has a lot of different verticals, so it depends on what you're interested in doing. Is it going to be for flying for mapping missions, for recording footage for Realtor, for doing thermal stuff, for flying for search and rescue, for police department? There's so many different options. So finding employment is going to really depend on what your background is. Somebody's going to want to hire you because of your experience, more than likely. So I would say if you're brand new at this, having the certificate is only part of the process. It's like saying, I just got my CDL, where can I get a job? Where they're probably going to want to see a bit more experience flying the drone and maybe collecting data and analyzing data. There's a lot of things that go into this. So it depends on what industry you're going to be really interested for. So look for those jobs that are in the vertical that you're interested in. Okay, next question. How do you feel about the drone community as a whole right now? Have we evolved with widespread knowledge and experience, or are we devolving, stadium flyer, in a more Wild West mentality? That's a good question. I don't think we've devolved, quite frankly. I think we have more and more people that are getting their Part 107 certificate and getting educated. And we also have more people coming into the hobby that don't know, but I feel like there's more than ever information available online to get educated about drone flying, including our website, but also from other sources. And so I think the things that we see, the people flying over stadiums, is just a byproduct of having more people flying drones. It's the law of numbers. It's the law of numbers. That's really what it is. And so we, the more people we'll have flying out there, the more chances of somebody doing something stupid. And the more likely we'll have eventually a collision with an airplane. I hate to say it, but it's the law of numbers. It's just statistical probability. And so I don't think because we hear more of them that there's necessarily more of them. I also think the media plays a role in which they love to see this. I also think the people that are selling counter UAS technology are definitely more willing to have these stories come up in the news so that people can say, oh yeah, look at all these drones flying everywhere. We need to have counter UAS technology. That's me maybe having a bit of a tinfoil hat, but yeah, I believe there's a little bit of everything in here. As far as the Wild West mentality, I think we'll continue having this. I also think the FAA coming up with more rules, especially on the recreational side, with the CBO guidelines and the way that they've made things pretty complicated, is not helping with the Wild West mentality. I'm not going to say that I can understand it, but I can to a certain extent, where people just want to fly a drone in the park at 50 to 100 feet above the ground. And you got to look at those rules and think that they're a little bit too much. And people saying, well, I'm just going to fly because I know I can fly safely up to 100 feet without having to worry about every single rule that's out there. Finding a CBO, following this guideline, looking at this and looking at all the CBOs, it does get complicated for someone who wants to fly for fun. So that's my long answer to a short question. Laws that prohibit, restrict, or sanction operation by UAS in the immediate reaches of property to the extent that such operations substantially interfere with the property owner actual use. So let me read that again. Laws that prohibit, restrict, or sanction operation. Yeah, well, that's no different than ground restriction. The immediate reaches is definitely an interesting term in that document. I'm sorry, we're going back here to David's question from earlier from the FAA fact sheet. But yeah, the immediate reaches is, it could definitely be an issue. Unfortunately, the legal at the FAA, they made the mistake in a portion of that document. And Vic and I, we talked about this when we first read it, and we reached out to them to ask them to make changes. And so they haven't, unfortunately. It took them a while to get this done in the past. So hopefully it's not another 4 or 5 years before we see an updated version. But yes, I think they put a bit too much information in here that unfortunately does not really apply. Okay, Ronald Sharma says, if you're a recreational flyer and you want to post your content like photos and videos on social media with family and friends like Facebook, do I need Part 107? No. In this case, you're flying for recreational purposes. The intent is just to go out and have fun, and you just want to share that with family and friends. There's nothing wrong with that. It's all about the intent of the flight. In this case, you're good. Brian says, is there a good rule of thumb on how often to replace props, or is it generally based on the inspection? I'll tell you, I have propellers that are as old as our oldest drone. And they're still in good shape, and I wouldn't change them until they need to be changed. So no, unless there's a crack or you notice when you run your finger along the edge that they're bad, I wouldn't change them. Jim Anderson has an important question. What do you prefer, white or dark turkey meat? Dark meat for sure. I think the white meat is a little too dry, but that's just personal. Speaking of which, tomorrow morning, tomorrow is Tuesday, we're going to be frying a turkey from a drone. It's going to be fun. Ben says he's not having any of it, but he's a chicken. So yes, dark meat, please. And we'll have a video of that, which is going to be fun. We're using a Matrice 300 to boil a turkey, and hopefully nothing catches on fire. It's a PSA. It's very important. Hopefully everything catches on fire, but besides the drone and besides the land around us. Okay. We're going to post that on Thanksgiving. Yeah. Thanksgiving Day on social media will be posted. It will be a good reminder. Like I said, it's a PSA. Somebody's got to have fun. No flamethrower. No flamethrower. I wish. Yes, Vic, we will definitely be filming this. We've been actually working on this project for quite a few days to make sure that we do it safely. It's going to be fun, but it's going to be done safely, as you can imagine. Bruce says, oh, it's Bruce Sterling, not the other Bruce. If you have a Part 107 and have registered your drone as Part 107, can you fly it recreationally? If you have a Part 107 and have registered your drone, yes, you can fly recreationally. All your recreational flights can be conducted under Part 107. I do all my flights under Part 107, whether I'm flying for Pilot Institute or I'm flying for myself for fun. Everything is conducted under Part 107 rules because I believe it's easier to do it that way. So yes, you can definitely do that. Second question, what about flying an RC plane over 249 grams? You need to register it and have remote ID. Yes. Whether or not you fly an RC plane over 249 grams for recreational purposes or under Part 107, you do need to have it registered and it does need to have remote ID. So RC planes are UAS, Unmanned Aircraft System. And so it doesn't matter if it's a multi-rotor, a remote helicopter, or anything else that flies with a remote, it needs to be registered. Look, Mom, a drone, says, I want to post a recreational video, but the drone is over the weight limit. Now what? There's no weight limit for recreational. So you're good. You can post any videos that were recorded for recreational purposes with any drone, even over 249 grams. So you're good. Whew. Wow. Yes, Vic says, unless it's a Freya. That was for Bruce's question. If you're flying in a Freya or Freya, I think Freya is more appropriate as we get closer to Thanksgiving and roasting turkeys. If you're in a Freya, you do not need to have remote ID. But good luck finding one because the FAA doesn't have a map of those remote IDs, of those Freyas. Okay, we're at the end of the list. Woohoo! I like being caught up. Can breathe a little bit. Shoulder's still hurting. Okay, Freya. Well, it's I guess. No, it's not a Freya, Vic. It's a Freya. The I is for identification. Fry identification. Freya. It's a Freya. Vic always corrects me when I say Freya, but it is an I. It's like a GIF. It's a GIF.
No, it's not.
It is a GIF.
It's a GIF.
It is a GIF.
The creator of...
I don't care. It's a graphic. The G stands for graphic. It's a GIF. It's a GIF. Thank you, Ethan. 2 against 1. Ben. Okay. Oh, well, Dave Bear says it's a Freya, so I guess I'm right. It's a Freya. All right. Decon FPV says, can you give your opinion on the FPV view in the Mavic series and why you would want to use it or not use it, or the FPV mode? When should it be the most applicable? The FPV mode in the Mavic is... I hate to say it, but it's a fake FPV in a sense. It's very difficult to fly it like an actual FPV drone. And so I don't know when you would want to use it. I used it once to try to fake something and it was okay, but it's just not like, especially, you fly FPV, so you'll find a big difference. Phantom Camper 001. Did you see the video where a guy flew his Mini Pro drone to record the F1 race? The police caught him using remote ID and get him arrested. Yep, yeah, that's like I said. There's 2 of the most restricted airspace in the country is DC and Vegas. So yeah, be careful with that. What do you need to know about flying in cold weather aside from propeller icing? Ooh, that's a great question, Carl. We're getting close. We're getting close to cold weather here in Arizona. I know in northern Arizona. And other parts in the country. Obviously, freezing on your propellers if you fly in visible moisture, aka in fog or close to the clouds. You could get icing on your propellers, which means that you could damage your motors. You could have a motor fail. You could have a stall, which means that the aircraft would come down to the ground. It's been 3 years. We've been trying to do a video on on icing on propellers. I think we're finally going to do it this year. We did it a couple years ago. We were able to get actually icing on propellers in film, but something happened and we never edited the video. So we're going to do it again in slow motion so we can show you what happens. But it was really cool to see that ice building up in there. But with the right conditions, it can be pretty dangerous. That's one. Propeller icing is one. Number two is your battery performance. Batteries are only rated to a certain temperature, after which they could lose power instantly. So I would say if you're going to be flying in cold weather, keep your batteries inside of your jacket and then put them on and turn on the motors right away. Turn on the drone right away to start it. As it starts, it's going to warm up a little bit, but keep an eye on the limitations on your battery. DJI and other manufacturers have operating limitations as far as temperature, and stay within those temperatures. I know sometimes you're gonna try to go a little bit lower than this, but if it's much lower than the restricted temperature, you might have issues. And yeah, so and then the battery is gonna last not nearly as long. Driving an electric vehicle myself, I can tell in the winter that I get less mileage out of my car, and it's the same in your drone. So yep. Those are my 2 tips. And then keep your hands warm because your fingers get cold over time. Our friend Dennis Brooks emailed me a couple days ago because I mentioned that in one of our videos. And he said to use gloves. He had special gloves that he used to stay warm, and then using hand warmers as well, which is a good idea. I'm still waiting for Ken Dono to come up with a heated attachment for controllers. Ken, if you're here. Okay. Next question. Eric says, do you believe the Air 3 is good enough to do commercial work for web design, light commercial TV work? I do believe the Air 3 has capabilities to do great work. Commercial TV work, probably local commercials, I would say yes. After that, they're probably going to require something bigger like an Inspire. But yeah, absolutely. I think the Air 3 is definitely good enough for most commercial work out there. I know our friend Ken, I just mentioned Ken, he's been doing real estate using the Air 3, even using the Mini 4 Pro, quite frankly. So yeah, the image quality out of these drones is absolutely amazing these days. I'm not close to an airport. How can I judge or get the cloud ceiling? Want to stay out of FAA jail. The FAA does not put people in jail. They'll just take your money. But no, more seriously, how do you know the cloud ceiling? That's kind of a difficult one, but you'll be able to tell the cloud ceiling by looking outside. You'll know when you have an overcast day where the clouds are just very low. You'll look far on the distance and you'll be able to see that. I don't know how to explain it, but you have to be 500 feet below the clouds, which means that if you were able to get as high as 400 feet above the ground, the lowest you could fly is if the ceiling is 900 feet above the ground. 900 feet, let's call it 1,000 feet above the ground. 1,000 feet above the ground, you'll be able to tell because these clouds are just going to feel like you can touch them at 1,000 feet. So the most important thing I would say is not getting into the clouds, more than anything else. So you'll also be able to tell that. But yeah, I would say I would not worry too much about that 500 feet to be, if you're 300 feet or 200 feet below the clouds, I don't think anybody will ever know, including yourself, including the FAA. The goal is to make sure that you're doing this safely. So yeah. Starfer Ariel says, longtime pilot with an opportunity to fly the Avata for work. That's cool. Never done FPV before. How similar, different in flight stability is the 2-stick Avata controller easy coming from a normal DJI controller? The controllers are going to be the same. So here's what I recommend. You've got 2 ways to fly the Avata. You can fly it just like your regular DJI drones in GPS mode, full attitude control mode, and still get some great footage. You can also learn to fly it in full manual mode. Now, that's going to take some experience. That's going to take some practice. But quite frankly, you can get some great footage by doing it by just using the regular sports mode or normal mode in the Avata. Find a place to practice, and then over time you'll be able to do it manually. I have a friend that posted something on Facebook recently, and he does amazing work in Texas, commercial work, pro level work, Netflix level stuff, and he said he often posts video of FPV flights that are done with the Avata or the DJI FPV, but he flies it in the non-manual mode, and he always has comments of people. I'll say his name's Sparky, because he's a great dude. And he said he always gets comments from people that said, "Are you flying this thing manual, or are you able to fly it manually yet?" Like as kind of a taunting him because he's not flying like a real FPV pilot. And his reply always is, "I'm flying the way that the customer wants the footage." And so the most important here is to learn the skills that your customers want to pay for, okay? And if you can't fly fully manual just yet, that's fine, as long as your customers are okay. And he said, if I need to dive a tower with an FPV drone, I've got people that I can recommend to my customers. I'm not going to be doing it, but I have somebody else who can. So know your limits, know what your customer want. And that's the bottom line is, he said the mode that he's flying in is cashing the check and taking money from his customers. That's the mode that he's using to fly his drone. So I thought that was an interesting conversation. Vic says he can't fly manually. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Can you sit in parked vehicles and fly a drone as long as you maintain VLOS? Yes, but I'm going to say that it's going to be more difficult to maintain visual line of sight by being inside of a car, just because unless you have a full glass roof, or you still need to have full command of the airspace 360 degrees. So I don't recommend it. It's possible, but difficult. Let's put it this way. Michael says, good evening. Good evening. Have you a favorite drone? Yes, I do. I know there are differences between Mini 3 Pro, Mini 4 Pro. Mini 3 Pro worth the extra dollars, or is the Mini 3 Pro a fine drone? Quite frankly, the difference between the 3 and the 4 are rather minimal. If you can find a good deal on the Mini 3 Pro, I would go for it. As far as favorite drone, the Inspire is still my favorite drone, because I love the ability to change lenses. We have an Inspire 2 here. We tested an Inspire 3 not too long ago, actually from our friend Mark at Extreme Aerial in Phoenix. Thanks for sending that to us. We did a deep dive on that drone. You can see that on the website for free. But yeah, absolutely the Inspire, just because of the ability to change lenses and to get that extra variety in the shots that you don't get otherwise with the other drone. As far as smaller drones, I would say the Air 3, I think, is the perfect combo of drones at the moment, because it's got the 1X and the 3X. If you want to go fancy, then you can get the Mavic 3 Pro, which has 3 lenses, the 1X, the 3X, and the 7X. I think that gives you the best of everything as far as, getting as close as we can to the Inspire. But yeah, that's what I would say. Tom says, I'm impressed with all the features of our current line of prosumer drones. I agree with that. Is there a feature you would like to see in these level of drones in the future? Bigger sensors, personally, I think. And it looks like it's a trend that we've seen over time. Just bigger sensor and a bit more resolution, especially on the photography side. I'd love to see like a 48 megapixel type sensor on a full frame that's available on the Mavic type drone. I'm sure we'll get there eventually as we get better battery and the ability to lift more stuff. When I look at what the original Mavic, which was like my second drone that I bought, and then what we get now with a Mini, the Mini 4 has far better quality footage than the original Mavic, which was just incredible. So yeah, I think we'll get there eventually. More flight time, I think, would be awesome. And yeah, I think some people would say the ability to fly over people. So having a categorized drone with maybe a parachute pre-installed, or the ability to add one, But we don't really fly over people. We don't have a need to fly over people. But I think for some people that do that, it would be nice to have it. But yeah, I'm pretty low maintenance, I guess, pretty low key as far as the features. But it's one of these things, we've seen technology evolve over time. I remember the first phone, the first smartphone, right, to what it is today. What has changed? I feel like the drones are kind of on the same trajectory if you think about it. I think what smartphones are doing today is what drones are going to be doing in 2 or 3 years. What have phones done in the last couple of years? They've added more cameras with better quality sensors and better images from smaller sensors. And I feel like that's exactly what's happening with drones now. We have drones that have 3 sensors like the Mavic 3 Pro, or 2 sensors like the Air 2. You look at an iPhone 14 or your favorite Samsung, that's what they have, 3 cameras. And so I think, like I said, cell phone technology is kind of going into drones, and we see that happening quite a bit. Okay. Can we fly above rolling fog sitting in the valley? I'm in San Diego and I can see the sky above. Nope. So the FAA says you cannot fly over fog or over clouds. And the reason is you don't have the ability to see if you're flying over people and or people in moving vehicles. So the answer is no, you cannot fly over restricted visibility. It's not in the rules, but it is in the advisory circular 107-2A. And I know advisory circulars are not regulatory in nature, but the FAA can still nail you for it and give you a 107.13 citation for careless and reckless. 107.113 maybe. I don't remember actually. It's 91.13, but I think it's 107 something 13. Okay. Question about mapping the contour of a steep hill with a drone. Is it easy to do with waypoints, even if the valley or the hill might be more than 400 feet below the top? More than 400 feet below the top. Any issues here? I would say if you're going to do that and there's a bit of a hill, some software give you the ability to follow the contour and follow the terrain so you remain 400 feet above that. So that would be my recommendation there. You could do it otherwise by just doing a regular path and make sure that you use your ground control points for that. Dave Baer says, what is the latest with the ban on DJI drones? The latest was that last week, everybody got kind of panicked because there was a bill. I don't remember if it's in the House or in the Senate. But we did work with the DAA, the Drone Advocacy Alliance, and we wrote a letter with several signatories on it, asking them to reconsider. We asked public safety agencies to also submit their opposition to this. And I haven't heard, today's Monday, I haven't heard what's happened with it, but people were worried that it was going to pass. And what I'm talking about is the American Drone Act, the ADA, that is in its nth form now after so many years of trying to pass. And so I don't know what happened. I hope it did not pass, but it would have restricted pretty much any agencies that are receiving federal funding from using DJI drones. I'll repeat what I've said before. I want to see standards that any drone manufacturer can meet and not have discrimination based on country of origin, which I believe is the wrong way to do this. And so, but I think, well, I'm not going to say it. All right. ASDA, American Security Drone Act. Thank you, Vic. So the American Security Drone Act is part of a bigger act that they're trying to pass. And so that was the big concern, is that it was kind of buried in there, and that because on its own, it can't pass. But if they bury it with something else, which is very typical for politicians to do this, then that could be an issue. Do you think DJI has become a threat to Sony and Canon in terms of video quality, sensors, etc.? DJI Pocket 3. Oh, I'm sure that DJI is taking some market away from them, but the one thing DJI hasn't done yet, and I'm waiting for that to happen, and I thought I had heard rumors that they would, but is create a digital SLR. And the day that they do this, which you know it's coming, you know it's coming, it has to, because it's an ecosystem. The 4D, well, the 4D is somewhat close to that, but it's still not a handheld, DSLR. But they have to go to that because it's an ecosystem, and that's what DJI does, right? They have the Pocket. You mentioned the Pocket, which is small portable camera that would compete with a cell phone. It's kind of like between a cell phone and like a Canon PowerShot, right? That you would carry everywhere. And then they obviously have the drone, which is competing with Sony. Sony decided to go the opposite. They're making cameras, and now they're making a drone to carry their camera. I could totally see DJI coming up with a camera that would go along with the rest of the equipment that you have. They have a gimbal. Why not have a gimbal that you can put a camera on that's DJI, that's fully controlled by the gimbal in itself? And then they have the Ronin 4D, which is kind of that, but all integrated into one. You just can't take the camera out of the actual thing. So yeah, I can totally see it eventually for them to come out with this. Maybe I'm wrong, but to me, they're doing what Apple has been doing, which is building an ecosystem. When you buy Apple, I'm an Apple fanboy, but I have an iPad, I have an iPhone, I have a Mac, a laptop, because they all talk to each other. It's an ecosystem that works really well. I have a watch that also talks. And the same is true for Android folks. You've got the watch, you've got the tablet, you have the phone. The computer is slightly different, but still, it's an ecosystem that you get into. And so when you get into this DJI ecosystem, you want to continue doing this. They have the transmission system now, and we use that a lot around the office. The only thing that we really don't have that's DJI based is our cameras that I'm recording on right now. It's Panasonic. But if DJI had something comparable to Panasonic, I might actually switch to it because I know it's good quality product that they've been creating. They have the sensors already. They have the optics, so I don't see why they couldn't move into it. They have the UI. It could be actually a pretty powerful ecosystem, quite frankly. So, it's 4:57. Look at that. Phew. Well, folks, I think we're going to stop right here. I appreciate all the questions, as always. I think this was a good discussion. It's always me talking all the time, this thing. Get tired at the end of the day. I'm going to go back to my editing and finishing this course for you guys. Remember, Black Friday sale. Make sure you go on the website. I don't often try to pitch our courses in these live events, but this is a good time if you want to save money. Quite frankly, the deal that you're getting with this is definitely a great deal, and I mean that. I think you can get some good stuff, and then happy Thanksgiving. It's right around the corner. Like I said, we're going to be frying a turkey tomorrow. If we're still alive, we'll see you next Monday. Ben is going to show us the funny outtakes of recording this. Let me do it. The BOGO YOLO No FOMO Poco Loco promo, bro. Say it without paper. Without paper. All right, folks. End of the show. We're going to show you that. Stay here for a few minutes, and then we'll see you on Friday for news update. To me? Okay, hold on. We're having a technical difficulty.
Sorry, folks.
We only had an hour to get ready for that, so. That's why we don't do lives. No, we do lives now. I realized that my skin on my computer looks like a cow with like the cow patches on it.
It does.
But it's pretty cool, by the way. If you guys don't know this, I don't know the name of the brand, but this is something that I can use right here to put my phone. So I can. Is it coming up?
Loco promo?
The what?
The BOGO YOLO No Poco. The BOGO YOLO No.
The BOGO YOLO No FOMO Poco Loco promo, bro.
Boko
The BOGO YOLO no FOMO POCO promo loco, bro?
One take.
BOGO YOLO no FOMO POCO promo loco?
Loco, no poco.
Are you even saying words right now?
The BOGO YOLO no FOMO promo YOLO POCO.
You want the paper?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do it with the script. It's the Bogo Yolo No FOMO Poco Loco promo.
Poco Loco promo? Are you guys talking about the... This is gonna make a great supercut.
It's the Bogo Loco No Promo Foco. I feel like Jesse Pinkman in Breaking Bad. It's the Bogo Yolo No FOMO Poco Loco promo, bro.
Get the BOGO YOLO No FOMO POCO Loco promo now at pilotinstitute.com for a limited time while supplies last.
All right, one more time. The Bogo Yolo No FOMO Poco Loco promo, bro.
Nice.
Yo!